Are you someone that struggles with perfectionism? Then this video is for you. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Fola, and here on Deep Mind Square, we talk all things magical practices and altered states. And with this recent new moon solar eclipse, I'm really feeling this shift around my perception on perfection. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I've talked about this topic before, a lot about the link between abandonment and perfection, because I do feel like these two things are very much tied in, at least on my own personal journey. But what I'm finding lately is how hard I've been on my child, how much of a perfectionist I am, especially when it comes to me wanting to have her show up in the world in a certain way. How I like to keep my space, a certain level of tidiness, and it is all because of perfectionism. So it's quite a shame-producing, guilt-producing feeling, and I hope to just shed some light on that and provide a bit of support for you in this video. Before we get into all that, though, I invite you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're updated on any future video releases. And really, this channel is about holding space so that you can dive into different magical techniques and ritual and access altered states through a wide range of modalities and ways, including plant medicine, psychedelics, and all that fun stuff. So I really hope that you being here today, you can find a bit of guidance with this topic, because perfectionism is something that really runs deep in our life, I would say. It really shows up for me in how I then portray myself or try to be in relationships. And the more that I'm entering into these sort of interdependent relationships and away from codependency, the more I realize wow, how much have I been trying to just be this perfect image of this human being, when in actuality, nothing is perfect. I was even thinking about this morning around spirit creating the universe and how we're all technically part of spirit. We're all part of the divine. And so we're these different aspects of the divine experiencing this physical reality. And yet there are people who make choices, or there's situations that happen that might not be what we would identify as perfect. And that really shed light for me this morning of oh, okay, so if I can see the divine then as this imperfectly perfect being, meaning, everything seems to work out exactly the way it needs to, even in times that seem dark or negative. How can I not embrace that as even me being how I am every day in which I show up? Even in some of my shadow aspects or whatever the case might be, how can I not embrace that? How come it's such a struggle? And I think a lot of it comes down to that abandonment. Again, if we've gone through times when we were young where we had to be or act a certain way in order to receive love, to be given love by our caregivers or whoever we felt was a parent or an important figure in our life, then of course we're going to continue to show up that way as we grow up and try to maintain other relationships in our adulthood. But this really isn't serving anyone. I go back to this podcast I listened to. I think they have a YouTube channel as well. If I remember what the name is, I'll link it in the description. This concept around where does that word perfection come from, or perfect? And I believe it stems from a Latin word, which all is about the evolution, the movement forward, right? And that's ultimately what this is about. It's about us evolving our consciousness, understanding ourselves a bit more, being able to truly embrace all of us, even in these parts of our shadow, our darkness, and allowing ourselves to be. And earlier today, I'd actually created a video. I'd gone live, and I wanted to just share this download of information that I'd received during meditation. And then after the fact, when it was done, I was wait a minute, what I said wasn't accurate information in terms of what I was referencing with the Kabbalah and all this stuff. I realized that I'd made this mistake. And I was oh my God, no one can see that. That's super embarrassing. Though in my head at the time in which I received this information, it completely made sense, and it led me to this path of deeper understanding. But when I deleted the video, which I admit I did, it like hit me like, whoa, like that perfectionism runs so deep. And I remember like plant medicine journey not that long ago. And what had happened during this like journey was the level of perfectionism. I at the time was with someone else. We were journeying together, and I went to like support with creating like a platter of food. I was like, "Hey, don't worry, I'll do it. It's my place. I'll like prepare, and it's fine." And as I was doing it, it's like I could feel and hear this voice of the perfectionism, like it needs to be right, it needs to be perfect. And the way I was plating, like they were freaking like spring rolls or something. Like it's freaking spring rolls from a box. Who cares? It's not like a 5-star restaurant, and I'm like this like world-renowned chef. It's just I just cooked the food that was prepared by someone else, and now I'm gonna serve it to the person in my house. Like, not a huge deal. But this voice that has been like engaging with me through most of my life was there. And so it was quite a wake-up call. But I feel like we don't have to carry this energy, this perfectionism. It's this false sense of needing to be something that we can never fully achieve. And like we are already living our life exactly the way we're meant to live it. So I want to just pull a rune here, and maybe we'll just draw on the energy of that rune before we head off. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it, share it out. So we have Feiyu. And I'm just getting this word of beauty with this one. Beauty and the abundance of who you are. So we'll just call on those energies. Feiyu. Even you, if you're a man or a woman, whatever, identifying with that feminine energy, that beauty, that abundance. Knowing that you are the wealth and you have everything within you already. There's nothing that you need to seek outside. And I hope with that you can find some sense of clarity, knowing that you are whole already. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and you all take care.